What do I think about Beasts of Prodigum Torghast Event, and specifically how to beat Elder Longbranch and boss in Cold Heart Interstitia Wing of Torghast level or layer 3+. I will also add another variable to it. Imagine that you are a relatively undergeared druid, feral or guardian, in the ballpark of ilevel of 171, 172, so kind of around that ballpark. So with all that being said, today I'm gonna show you how I did it solo, and maybe you'll learn something, or maybe at least you'll find it entertaining, hopefully. Let's do this. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, my friends. Hopefully you haven't had any despair when you saw all these other videos of other games pop up on my channel. Hey, I have to have fun too, and I was open with all of you for quite some time that I'm not a huge fan with the engagement, with the fun that I am getting from Shadowlands so far. It doesn't mean that I'm dropping World of Warcraft as a game, not even close to it. I'm addicted, I am an altoholic, I will continue talking to you about alts and other stuff. But in between, please support the other videos as well. Maybe you'll find another extra alternative hobby like I did. Maybe there will be something in it for you. Other than that, you would just support me with your patronage. That's all I have to say on that topic, so please don't panic, and I'm glad if you don't. So today we're talking about Cold Heart Interstitia. If you know how I feel about Torghast, other than the fact that it's a barren wasteland, void of loot, void of fun, for me personally, there are still some things that we need in it. For example, my alt druid, that I still plan to play in LFR in 5-man dungeons, needed a legendary power. A memory of Ursok or something like this. We will have a separate video where I'll talk about it. It is the best tanking power for druids. Again, there will be a separate video where I will talk to you about how that works, and I'll show you all the stats, absorbs and everything else that it does. It's awesome. So that power drops from the end boss of Cold Heart Interstitia of layer 3+. So I had to beat this. And I tried to assemble a group first. I did. I went into the group, I assembled the group as a tank. I was asking for a fellow stealthy to make my job much easier, because I really didn't feel like investing 30-40 minutes into killing everything in this boring place that Torghast is. I make no apologies. I hate it, okay? But I needed the legendary power as a World of Warcraft player. So, Beasts of Prodigum event. By the time you're watching this video, maybe that Beasts of Prodigum event is already over, and this particular setup, these particular things that I'm going to be showing you right now, don't worry about the background footage, I'm going to go back and explain everything, right? Maybe it will be relevant, but at the same time I'm sure that at the very least Beast of Prodigum event is gonna come back. So first of all, this is when this video might be handy for you. And second of all, some of the things that I'll be talking about will be applicable even without any of the beasts, any of the other assistants present, okay? But for now, context is Beasts of Prodigum. I am not overgearing content, I'm in 171, I want to beat the end boss, and there was just no quickly assembled group. People were just not joining my group, and I ran out of patience. So I was trying this, trying that, changing setup, and eventually I beat it solo. How did I do it? Well, first of all, you will need luck, you will need good reflexes, you will need the right tactics, you will need right macros. It's not optional, right macros in this context are required, they are required, and naturally you will need more or less common sense driven priority system for picking the right Anima powers. That's about it, that's what you need hands down. Beyond that, you know, we will talk through everything. No, let's just jump straight into it, why not? Long introduction, hopefully you're with me. So, when you are within this context of Beasts of Prodigum event in Torghast, when you enter, the very first power that you're gonna get, legendary power, Anima power that you're gonna get, will allow you selection of one of two hounds, one of two beasts to be with you all the time. One of them basically is a tank, and another one basically is a extra DPS / caster, interrupter, that kind of stuff. I tried both. Horgul, whatever you want to call this beast, the hound that I'm picking, is by far better one. Well, at least in my playstyle, at least for how I do it, because Horgul is a tank. He taunts, or she taunts, whatever you wanna call that, taunts, and interrupts the enemies. And in Cold Heart and Justitia, your biggest fear is the fact that they cast terror or fear. So yes, you can interrupt, you can, but at the same time it helps tremendously when there is someone else in your group who interrupts, and that is Horgul, that is this little beast, okay? So the tactics is gonna be very, very simple. Tactics is gonna be, let's set up our tank for success, let's support our tank, let's make sure that our tank doesn't drop, and let's not tank ourselves. Even though I'm after tanking power at the end of this, we're gonna be going as a feral, we're gonna be going as a rapid DPS with a finger, quite literally, on the pulse of our hound to make sure the hound is always topped up, is always healed. How are we gonna do it? Alright, so you need to set up the special macros that, and I've added them both to a special bar in case I feel like clicking, and I've also put the macros onto my mapped action keys. So I was having one literally under my finger and under my mouse click. You will see throughout the video in the background the random uses and what actually happens there. The idea is very simple, and you can have these macro strings in the description down below. Take a look if you want them. Alright, so how they work, macros? They're very simple, but they're focus-based macros. You need to put Horgul into focus so that you can at least monitor his health. If nothing else, you need to know if he's healthy or what. Secondly, the macros are set up in such a way that by default they cast whatever it is they're casting, Regrowth, Rejuvenation, Swiftmend, they're casting it on focus. If I press Alt and press the macro, it casts it on me. So sometimes I need to heal myself, sometimes I need to heal Horgul, that's it. It's as simple as that. Beware that when you are entering stealth, and that's going to be the next major point that I'm going to make here. When you're entering stealth somehow, stupidly enough, maybe it's always been like this in World of Warcraft, I just never had to deal with it before, stealth drops focus. You lose focus, whatever is in your focus frame, as soon as you enter a stealth, even if it's a friendly, even if it's in your group, it loses focus. So you need to reset focus, and I have another very quick macro here that resets focus, but that's optional, however you want to do it. You could just type /focus when you target the thing, but it will be too long. So that's very, very important. Now, general tactic beyond using Horgul as an obvious tank. General tactic is to skip and stealth past everything that you can. Pick your fights, basically. I go around mobs all the time if they can't see me. I do not care about skipping on Anima or Phantasma. Sorry, I'm skipping on Phantasma, and therefore I cannot afford too many Anima powers, which obviously gimps me a little bit, and there is a fine line, and that's where luck comes into play. So basically you need to be somewhat lucky, you need to be prepared, and you need to be lucky with, first of all, being given for free those Anima powers that are good for you, so that you don't have to buy a whole lot just to compensate. And at the same time you need to be lucky that the vendor in the end has 1 or 2 powers that you eventually can afford, that are also very good for you, that are going to boost your performance. That's what you need to be quite lucky about. So stealth past the mobs. And then there is the whole, like, you need to exercise a little bit of awareness and a little bit of a, well, common sense based but still smarts. Take a look ahead. If there is a big elite who is stealth detecting, is there enough space between the elite and the edge that you can curve around and go around? If you can curve around and run around, go ahead. That's what I do. You know, I don't pick every fight. But if you see that one of those big owl dudes, you know, the Swolkin, as some call them from Kyrians, if it's standing right there, clearly gonna detect you, well, what do? You look at the patrols, make sure that the patrols are moving. You either need to kill the non-elite mobs that are the closest ones to the elite that's going to detect you once the patrol moved away, or you need to pick an empty space where you can kill the patrol. That is really up to you. That's going to be situational, somewhat random, because these levels of Cold Heart Interstitia, they are randomly assembled. I had these ones, you will have some other ones possibly. But I think it makes sense. You need to be careful. And yes, I died multiple times while I was trying this strategy. I was sometimes too optimistic. You know, sometimes you just need to pull something and die before you find out exactly whether they'll detect you or not. But to be honest with you, with these macros and when I keep Horgul alive and he stuns everyone and stuff like that, I survived more often than I did not. So I found that this tactic, being feral, making everything bleed, keeping my Horgul, my tank, alive as often as I could, topped up, was the right way to success over here. Now, what else is to say there? You basically need to be aware of clearing the area if you engage with any of the elites. But at the same time, on the main thing to point out here is that at the end boss of the level that we really are trying to stealth to, that's where your biggest fight is, quite naturally. So first of all, be good on interrupt. Be ready to interrupt. Find out, before you waste your interrupt on anything, find out what mob is that. If it's an in Cold Heart Interstitia, they are those ascendant winged ones, right? If you see that it's a javelina, however you pronounce that, the guy who throws the arrow, he will not cast fear. He will just hammer yourself or Horgul with the spear. That fight is relatively easy. Just heal. Just heal, that's all you need to do. Be ready to heal not just as a druid, be ready to heal not just with regrowth or rejuvenation, be ready to also heal with Swiftmend, because just the ticks of rejuvenation or regrowth are not going to be enough towards the end when the damage ramps up a little bit, not at your item level, it's not going to be enough. With the end bosses, Terra, those that do cast Terra, I think it's the Ascendance or whatever it's called, it's not the Javelina, it's the other one. Terra is your biggest and only fear. Quite literally, it's your only fear. If you interrupt that, and if you keep Horgul alive and you are DPSing, you're also not just sandbagging there somewhere, if you are pumping out the damage, you should be okay. There shouldn't be any significant issue with that. Now, Anima power priorities. This is where the biggest luck comes in. You could get rubbish powers, or you can get just a handful that you could pick up because you're skipping the mobs, because you're not accumulating too much Phantasma, but those could be really impactful good ones. So this is where I suggest a loose, very common sense based priority system. You first of all need to boost health and healing received by your pet Horgul, if you are within Beasts of Prodigum still. If you're relying on that pet, boost him as much as possible. I'm not saying forget about yourself, I was about to say forget about yourself, but more or less prioritize him, because he is your meat shield. You are keeping him alive. Everything right now is set up here to keep him alive. That's how you need to play. I saw a very good ability as well, that a very good power that lowers the cooldown on Horgul's main ability by 50%. So he can stun the enemy / interrupt the enemy twice as often. And that, I think, because end boss here, Elder Longbranch, he hits hard, his damage ramps up slowly, not straight away, and he is a healer. Interrupt is essential. Interrupt is really essential. I also had a power which I think is a very good one, and it helps both yourself and your pet. It's the power where spell casting of the enemies is slowed down by 30%, which is massive, when they are close to you. I would always look out for that and take that if I can, because especially in this kind of environment where mobs cast terror / fear and where the end boss tries to heal, the more time you have to react, the more time you have to shapeshift, whatever else you needed to do, the better off you will be, for sure. Finally, naturally, goes without saying, boost your own survivability, if you can, with whatever you can. There is, for example, there are a couple of common powers. They're common, they're not even rare, but they're good. They are boosting by 20% effectiveness of your thrash and of something else. Another one gives you a high chance to heal yourself for 5% whenever you attack. That's great too, so do that. Final words: Elder Longbranch, Cold Heart Interstitia, End Boss, random. It's not always him, in case that's not obvious. It's not always him who is at the end of Cold Heart Interstitia, but he apparently is causing a lot of issues for undergeared people like myself. Again, like I said many times already, Do not waste your interrupt until you feel like you have just interrupted his heal. He casts a heal, it's a very obvious heal over time, and it will heal him very strongly if you don't interrupt it. What I would do is, I would save my interrupt for the very first time when he starts casting that, then I interrupt that. I do not know the exact cooldown timer on that spell, but by my very rough calculation, correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong, after you've just interrupted that, you can probably spend a couple next interrupts of yours to interrupt his smack or whatever he does, the damaging one. So you interrupt a heal, then you interrupt smack a couple of times, and then you wait for his next heal, because his heal will come off cooldown and you will need to interrupt that too, non-negotiable. You need to do that. In between, all you do is, as a cat, you try to keep all your bleeds on the target. You ferocious bite when you can, naturally. Hopefully you also had a chance to boost it up until you got to this point. And you just keep your eye on Horgul. I had several runs here, failed runs as well. I was more lucky with boosting Horgul on previous runs than this recorded one. Previous runs, for example, at one point I had Horgul with plus 300% of his health. He was actually quite meaty, still died, because my macros were not set up properly and I was not dishing out enough damage. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I was in bear form then, and then I decided just not enough. He will still not survive, my pet, if I don't focus kind of better. In this particular case, you will see that I'm successful at the end of this, and Horgul only had a little bit increased health, like double health. So he was like at 30k health, it's like nothing, right? And it was still okay, because I was smart about reducing the speed cast of the enemy with one of the Anima powers, interrupting smack when I could, and keeping Horgul non-negotiably topped up all the time, tiny bit drop of his health. My priority was instantly to regrowth, rejuvenate, Swiftmend on him, straight up. And this, my friends, is exactly how you will beat Elder Longbranch in Cold Heart Interstitia. May it burn in hell, because I absolutely hate it. I don't like Torghast in general. I find it highly unrewarding and super duper boring. Now, if you are one of my friends, if you're one of my supporters, you can see that, again, I'm always honest with my people, right? I play World of Warcraft. I will still play World of Warcraft. I will still give you the content that you subscribed for. Especially I love talking to my people and get requests for content and other kind of stuff, talking to people in the comments down below. I don't promise anything, but I always welcome your suggestions and requests. Having said that, I am not diversifying. Diversifying is a strong word that creates expectations, and I'm nowhere near that. But because I'm bored, I play Xbox. I play Xbox with my son. I play Xbox by myself now, in between of these play sessions of Torghast or whatever, right? So you can expect some other exposure to some other games that interest me as a World of Warcraft player. So hopefully, if nothing else, I will be able to, in addition to this type of content going forward, I will be able to occasionally, every second, third video possibly, offer you something off the cuff, off topic-y, that hopefully you will see as a healthy thing, just even to watch with a cup of tea and just have a giggle, or just like get exposed to a new game. Please bear with me. Tell me in the comments down below if you categorically opposed to it. But I can tell you for sure that when you think, oh, I'd rather you did this instead of spending your time on that, Gyro, I can tell you, my friend, that if I don't do that, alternative content, I might as well just drop World of Warcraft altogether, because it will simply not keep me engaged enough. So me diversifying, me happily sharing with you some other gaming experiences and offering you some of that stuff, is what feeds my World of Warcraft energy as well. I hope it makes some sense to you, because I truly mean what I say here. Hopefully you've been with me to listen to this and didn't duck out earlier. Thank you if you did not. Please talk to me in the comments down below. Really appreciate your patronage and interest in this content. More World of Warcraft stuff coming, more separate completely gaming coming, especially if Blizzard doesn't give us something to re-engage full time with World of Warcraft. But I refuse to put it full all on me. I'm not here for clicks just for World of Warcraft content. I'm here to have fun and have fun with you. Hopefully so are you. Talk to you soon. Videos will still get released twice a week. See you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.